Coming up on this edition of VCU InSight, Picasso shows off in Richmond.
A possible fresh market creates a buzz in Carytown.
And find out how microchips are being used to identify pets.
VCU InSight starts now.
Hello and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Adrienne Bowers.
And I'm Kate Dolphin. Thank you for joining us. It's what everyone is talking about around Richmond, the works of Pablo Picasso at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. Last week's opening has garnered national attention and put the River City in the spotlight. InSight's Mark Doss was there.
The Virginia Museum of Fine Arts is celebrating its 75th anniversary in a very special way. This is the scene from opening night for the Pablo Picasso exhibit. For the next couple months, VMFA will be the exclusive home of the artist's works. It's part of a 7-city international tour by Musée National Picasso in Paris. That museum chose Richmond as the exhibition's only East Coast stop. The exhibit features 176 works from Picasso's own collection and spans the Spanish painter's 80-year career. VMFA Director Alex Nergis says beating out places like New York and Washington, D.C. makes Richmond more than just the state capital.
Well, first of all, from a standpoint of being able to reaffirm that this is the cultural capital, not just of Virginia, but really the new cultural capital in the Mid-Atlantic. It's fabulous.
The event brought out the Picasso in everyone. Around 350 people registered for the event, a way for fans to get together and enjoy all things Picasso. For the exhibit, the museum has already sold around 35,000 tickets and is estimating a total of around 200,000 tickets to be sold. Eric Jones is a new resident of Richmond who attended the opening weekend festivities. He says this exhibit is something Richmond should be proud of.
Coming here and just kind of getting to know the area and become an active part of the arts community. To have this housed here, I think, is a huge, huge honor.
VMFA Director Nergis agrees.
It's great for people here. You don't have to go to New York. You don't have to go to Paris. You can see the great treasures of the Picasso Museum right here in the capital city.
And until May 15th, Richmond turns into the Picasso City. For VCU InSight, I'm Mark Doss.
Admission to the Picasso exhibit is $20. San Francisco and Seattle are also hosting the exhibit, with a third city to be announced.
And with the new Picasso exhibit, there's a new alternative way to get there that's a familiar sight for Richmonders. InSight's Craig Looney has our story.
The green bus has a new route, and this time it's during the day. Richmond's well-known To the Bottom and Back bus has been a safe alternative to weekend drinking and driving since 2009. Its 4 buses loop between the Fan and downtown. 2B&B's operations manager Jeffrey Stavansky says the Picasso exhibit gives the chance to do
something we've wanted to do ever since the beginning.
It's called To the Museums and Back. Every 30 minutes on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., the bus starts at the VMFA and stops at historic landmarks around the city, including Tredegar Island, the Civil War Museum, the Capitol, and Shockoe Bottom. The free bus takes donations for both routes. Corporate sponsors for the new museum route include the VMFA, Dominion, and the Jefferson Hotel. Stavansky says it's money well spent.
And that would help them out as well as help us out and, let them help the community.
The bus needs only a couple $100 in gas a month and has 22 volunteers. Organizers say the museum route is about more than just Picasso. It's a chance to paint Richmond in a more familiar light.
Areas such as the Visitor Center are hoping to bring more tourists with the Bottom and Back bus.
Rita Bagby works at the Visitor Center and hopes the bus stop here will be beneficial to Richmond.
Well, I would think this is a natural spot because we have tourists who are always asking how they can get around the city. It's been very disappointing to us at the Visitor Center that we don't have a tour bus. And so this circulator bus will really help us out.
The museum route is a pilot program for other Richmond routes in the works, such as a possible expansion to Short Pump. On Saturdays this spring, you'll see the green bus going to give locals and visitors a new look at old history. For VCU InSight, I'm Craig Looney.
You can find the Bottom and Back bus on social media such as Facebook and Twitter. You can also track buses in real time from their website and on an iPhone app.
Corin Hewitt, a professor in VCU's nationally top-ranked Department of Sculpture and Extended Media, has been named a winner of the 2010 Joan Mitchell Grant. The Joan Mitchell Foundation gives a $25,000 Painters and Sculpture grant to artists who aren't recognized enough for their achievements. Hewitt considers the grant to be both a financial boost and a validation of his hard work. He is one of 25 artists to win.
I really can't imagine an institution being more supportive of freedom of teaching. You know, that's essentially, there's nothing that I wanted more than to be supported in my own kind of creative development as an artist and teacher simultaneously. And so far I've felt really fortunate being here.
Hewitt says he tries to teach in a way so that he can also learn and gain creativity from his students. He is currently working on a project that will premiere in New York City in September. February was Heart Health Month. InSight Sequoia Ray is in the studio with a special guest who has advice and tips.
Hello, I'm here with Laura Savage, a registered nurse from the VCU Poly Heart Center. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
So we just finished up with Heart Health Month in February. How did the Poly Heart Center participate?
Well, February 4th was actually National Go Red for Women, and Go Red for Women is a campaign to educate women about their heart health. So one of the things that we did, we had a display for the community that focused particularly on risk factors for women and heart disease. We had members from the Heart Association there, as well as some of our patients, particularly our women with heart disease, so that they could relate to the public and educate them.
Well, over 90% of women have one or more risks for heart disease. What are some of those risks?
Well, there are a number. One, hypertension, high blood pressure puts women at risk. Diabetes, smoking, stress, diet, and lack of exercise are a number of the risk factors that can contribute to heart disease.
You mentioned high blood pressure and smoking. What are some of those things that we can control, or how can we control those risks?
That's a great question. Hypertension in particular is often referred to as the silent killer. About 21% of people with high blood pressure don't even know that they have it. So it's really important for them to know their numbers. Specifically, hypertension can be defined as a blood pressure greater than 120/80. And there are a number of things that women can do to reduce those risks. So for example, reducing their salt intake, increasing their exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, monitoring their stress, and you talked about smoking, smoking cessation, quitting smoking, as well as limiting their alcohol intake. All of those are strategies that women and as well as others can do to help to either reduce or prevent that risk of hypertension.
Right, so what are some symptoms that we should look out for?
That's a great question. Women present very differently than men. When you see the emergency and on TV, women, they talk about having crushing substernal chest pain that radiates to the arm. Women don't always present with chest pain. It may be shortness of breath, it may be fatigue. They tend not to really recognize those symptoms and just dismiss them as, oh, I'm busy, you know, I'm stressed, I'm working, I'm taking care of the kids, and they don't pay attention to their body. So it's very important for them to know their risk, as well as the fact that they may not ever really experience chest pain the way that a man would present.
So how can we pay attention more to those symptoms?
Well, one of the things is knowing your numbers, identifying your own risk, knowing what your high blood pressure number is, knowing if you're diabetic, what your blood sugar is, knowing what your cholesterol is. And by knowing those numbers, that'll help to reduce the risk and be able to help you put a plan in place to modify those risk factors.
Right. So if I wanted to start with a healthier heart tomorrow, what should I do?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. The American Heart Association has started a campaign called Life Simple 7. And I've got this little bookmark here. And I would really recommend people go to this www.mylifecheck.org, because what you can do here is you do an inventory and an assessment of your own risk. So it'll give you your numbers or tell you strategies for those numbers, and also give you a plan to be able to start today. One example is exercise.
Again, that was registered nurse Laura Savage. Thank you for being here.
VCU's Office of Multicultural Student Affairs hosted a panel discussion in mid-February called The State of the African-American Male Athlete. African Americans make up about 12% of the nation's population, but about 70% of athletes in the NFL and NBA. Former NFL quarterback Aaron Brooks and former NBA player Johnny Newman were among the key speakers. They discussed how black male athletes now have a greater responsibility to set good examples for youth because of the rise of social networking. Brooks talked about the benefits of the Rooney Rule that requires minorities to be interviewed for administrative positions in professional sports.
But also we're finding our way into coaching and administration, and obviously an owner with Michael Jordan, a former athlete, being the owner of the Charlotte Bobcats.
Faith Wilkerson of VCU's Office of Multicultural Student Affairs says they look forward to involving more students in future programs.
A section of a multi-use trail in Richmond is currently under design. Officials are discussing 2 alternatives that could impact the surrounding community. InSight's Julin Tran has more on the story.
The Virginia Capitol Trail is a 55-mile pedestrian and bike trail that runs parallel along Route 5, all the way from Richmond to Williamsburg. The next phase for development will take place in Varina in eastern Henrico County.
The Varina section is about 10 miles long, but one of the biggest concerns about the proposed design is whether it will have a separate trail or a widened shoulder along Route 5.
In the mid-1990s, the Virginia Department of Transportation conducted a feasibility study to determine what the Virginia Capitol Trail should look like. Initially, the Henrico County officials thought widening the shoulder of Route 5 would be cheaper and have less impact on citizens. Early last month, VDOT held an informational meeting to get public opinion on a new design.
Right now, I've compiled a lot of the responses and I'm compiling the formal report. But it appears that over 80% of the responders are in favor of a separate Capitol Trail through Varina, and actually over 75% of Varina residents are in favor of a separate trail as well.
A separate trail instead of a shoulder is what Virginia Capitol Trail Foundation Executive Director Beth Weisbrod says will be most beneficial to the community.
Separate really is key to making this trail as appealing to the most people as possible. People learning to ride a bike, moms with kids, those kinds of folks that take advantage of multi-use trails would not be able to if it were part of a widened shoulder on Route 5.
A shoulder widening project would impact property owners and could cost twice as much as a separate trail, according to VDOT project manager Ian Millican. The proposed path will cost $9.5 million.
So now we're focusing our efforts on that separate trail because it's cheaper for the taxpayers and it's also going to be safer for all the users of the Capitol Trail.
The trail's Varina section will continue from Shiplock Park in downtown Richmond and follow the existing railroad from Rockets Landing to Longbridge Road. 4 sections of the trail are already complete, including an area in downtown Richmond, Charles City County, and James City County. For VCU InSight, I'm Julin Tran.
VDOT will hold more hearings to get public opinions later this year. The trail should be finished by 2014. Last month, in an effort to reduce runoff pollution around campus, faculty and students, in conjunction with the student group Green Unity of VCU, planted a rain garden. It's located outside of Harris Hall in the Monroe Park campus. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, a city block generates 9 times more runoff than a woodland area of the same size. The rain garden is designed to catch runoff from the water-resistant surfaces in places that have a lot of roofs and paved areas. When rainwater hits the surface, it picks up pollutants and washes into storm drains that are connected to the James River. The garden uses the plant's natural properties and pulls the rainwater into the soil, where it is filtered by plants' roots. Amanda Scott, a member of Green Unity, says that while the rain garden has an environmental value to it, there is also some sentimental value as well.
It's part of a legacy that myself and other students that participated in it have at VCU. You can come back in a semester, in a year, and this rain garden is still going to be here.
Scott says the Green Unity's next project is green roof planting, designated for the roof of the Pollock building.
With these hard times, it might be difficult finding a job, but networking can offer a helping hand. InSight's Patrick Rosman shows us how.
Businesses are always trying different ways to make sure they're ahead of the competition. One way is through networking. According to Robert Half Management Resources, 70 to 80% of all corporate positions are gained through personal and professional connections. And networking is what BizJam is all about. It's hosted by Richmond's James River Trade. President Cindy Creasy says that networking is important for any business to grow and is especially useful during rough times.
With the economy the way it is right now, networking is essential to the success of any business. And the main reason is you can't sit back and wait for business to come to you.
Last month, about 60 local business people came to this BizJam at the Holiday Inn on Staples Mill Road, the first for 2011 and fifth overall. It's free to attend and open to all local businesses. Everyone is themed. This time it's about creating a healthy work environment. A panel discussed about how to improve overall fitness and wellness, reduce stress, and increase productivity in the workplace.
While BizJam allows professionals to better their business, they're also given the chance to network in person.
Insurance agent Jerry Howard says events like this help him do his job.
I can't say networking's 100% of my success, but it's probably about 90%.
The event may not be as big as others, but for professionals like Howard, smaller is better.
I mean, if I can meet someone face to face, get an idea of what kind of work they do, then I'll know how I can help them, and it's going to come back to you.
Creasy says networking comes back to a few common sense rules. Dress to impress, have plenty of business cards, and don't be afraid to stick out your hand and say hello. For VCU InSight, I'm Patrick Rossman.
James River Trade is playing another BizJam for June 16th. VCU's College of Humanities and Sciences have been on the search for a new dean. This search started last October. It's now down to 2 finalists. Dr. Lawrence Alexandra is an associate dean for the graduate school at the University of Florida in Gainesville. Dr. Jim Coleman is vice provost for research at Rice University in Houston, Texas. Their first visits to campus happened early last month. Last week, Alexandra and Coleman were invited back for separate receptions with students and faculty. The college handles more than half of all undergraduate VCU students, has more than 400 faculty members, and a budget of $73 million. VCU intern provost Beverly Warren says there's a process of evaluations with the VCU president and board of visitors before they choose a dean.
My hope is that we will be able to name a dean by the end of next month, March.
Warren also says students are welcome to send comments about the finalists. Keeping track of your pets is always a challenge. Turns out a little bit of technology can help a lot. InSight's Audra Shreve is in the studio with some special guests.
Hello, I'm here with Tabitha Haynes, Community Relations Manager with the Richmond SPCA, to talk about their next Microchip Clinic. Welcome, Ms. Haynes. First off, who is your friend?
This is Regina. She is a 2-year-old tabby, a little bit of a buff color and really affectionate, as you can tell.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about microchips. This Monday is the Richmond SPCA's next Microchip Clinic, but what exactly goes on at these clinics?
Well, this is going to be, we've held 6 prior public microchip clinics, so this is our 7th. We have made these available to the public so that they can get their pets microchipped at an affordable rate. It's only $20. People can pre-register in advance and have their pets microchipped so that they have a permanent form of identification.
Great. And estimates show that these microchips actually have already returned over 250,000 lost pets to their owners. But people are still a little hesitant to get them because they're afraid that the insertion will hurt their pets. Is this true?
Well, there's a very brief, momentary, painful process, kind of like getting a vaccination, and it's in the same spot. The microchip is implanted between the shoulder blades. This is actually the plunger. She's ready to go away. She's actually already been microchipped, but it's implanted right between the shoulder blades. It is done with a needle, so there's a very brief moment, but then right afterwards, the pet doesn't hold that memory for very long, and the lifetime of reassurance knowing that if your pet ever does become separated from you, that it can be identified and reunited is well worth that moment of discomfort.
Awesome. And so tell me a little bit about how they scan for these pets.
Sure. Well, this is the scanner, and I can turn it on. And actually, I'm just going to scan Regina. And it's actually shown the number that is associated with her microchip shows up on the display. And were she a lost pet who's just been identified, we would then check that number with the database, and it would list her owner's information so that we could call and say, you know, that Regina has been found, whether she's found at a vet clinic, a private vet clinic. Most of them scan new patients. All of the public municipal shelters in our area, such as Richmond Animal Care and Control, scan found pets when they come into the shelter. Regina is wanting to get like a little adventurous and go exploring, so that's exactly the reason that she should be chipped. Even indoor pets should be chipped because especially indoor-only cats are less likely to be wearing a collar, less likely to have that physical tag, and so should they slip out, sometimes, you know, when you have a guest, someone forgets to close the door, should they slip out, it's really important that that permanent identification is tied to your pet.
Great. So if pet owners actually do want to come out this Monday, how can they maybe register for that, and what should they expect when they get there?
They can register on our website. Pre-registration is going to stay open through Sunday, and you can go to our website, which is richmondspca.org, and sign up for an appointment between 4 and 7 p.m. on March 7th. And when you arrive for your appointment, we'll actually already have all of your information since you pre-registered on our website, and you'll wait very briefly, go in with a vet and a vet tech who will take care of the insertion process, and really it takes, most people will only be there for about 10 minutes.
Great, it seems so easy. Now, if for some reason pet owners still don't want to get a microchip inserted into their pet, what are some ways that they can go about ensuring that maybe their pet will be found if they are lost?
Well, we recommend actually combining a microchip with a physical form of identification, like a tag that's worn on a pet's collar. You can actually have those engraved in our Laura Robbins gift shop at the Richmond SPCA. There are a lot of other places around town that you can do that as well. They're also very affordable, between $5 and $10 usually. And combining that with a microchip is a great plan for your pet, because if your pet is picked up by a Good Samaritan or even a neighbor, they can see by that tag on your pet's collar that, you know, maybe the pet hasn't wandered very far from home or can give you a call. But the microchip then ensures also that if the collar were separated from the pet and the pet ends up at a shelter and gets scanned, it's an added form of insurance.
All right, that sounds like a great event, a great thing. That was Tabitha Haynes from the Richmond SPCA. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Earlier this week, a controversial vote for Carytown's future was delayed until late March. A Maryland developer wants to build the Carytown Place shopping plaza featuring restaurants and a fresh market grocery store. In early February, the Richmond Planning Commission voted 7-1 to approve the necessary zoning changes. The final vote by the Richmond City Council to approve the plan was scheduled for this past Monday, but is now pushed back to March 28th. The new plaza would be in the old Verizon building complex. It's estimated to cost around $20 million. Carytown's Elwood Thompson grocery store is spearheading a group called Don't Big Box Carytown. They say the plaza is against the city's master plan and would ruin Carytown's charm. They're encouraging people to sign an online petition and contact city council members. Bridget Folks works in Carytown and wants to see more residents move to the area.
Getting people to live around Carytown would bring the people into Carytown rather than putting more businesses outside of Carytown. We should put businesses along Carytown.
Don't Big Box Carytown says the month's delay will give them more time to rally and inform people about the development. Now here's a look at some events going on around Richmond.
Take a tour of Richmond's historical architecture while sampling a variety of foods from 5 local restaurants. The Real Richmond Food Tour, Shaco Slip's capital of cuisine, starts at the Urban Farmhouse on March 12th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Tickets are $39.
If that's not your taste, then come out to the St. Patrick's Day Party, Shamrock the Block 2011. Enjoy live entertainment, food, and frosty beverages at the 17th Street Farmers Market. It's free and open to the public and runs from noon to 6 p.m. on Saturday, March 12th.
If you want to share some laughs, comedian Kevin Hart will be at the Landmark Theater on March 18th. Tickets range from $38 to $48.
And you can follow the yellow brick road to the classic musical, The Wizard of Oz, at the Landmark Theater on March 25th. Tickets range from $40 to $63. And finally, tonight with hot dogs, nachos, and peanuts, baseball season has arrived. VCU's team geared up and ready to go. Dana Cook pitches us a new season preview.
Promote good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators.
With good weather, crisp white uniforms, and plenty of new faces, the VCU Rams came out strong for the start of the season as they played Fordham February 18th in the Diamond. In the 3-game series, the Rams won their first game and lost the last 2. Despite these early losses, the team feels it's early in the season and they're still learning where they should be. Junior and pitcher Seth Cutler-Volts says they just need a little more chemistry.
We're really starting to find who we are this year, opposed to living as where we were last year. We just want to find our identity this year and then roll with it once we get it.
Cutler-Volts says the Rams often roll as the underdogs, and that's what happened last year. With their record of 34-26 and the 3rd seed in the CAA tournament, they went on to win the championship against UNC Wilmington.
VCU has won 5 championships since 2002, but their focus remains on the upcoming season.
With 5 new freshmen and 5 junior college transfers, players say building a team of their own is key to the Rams this year. Freshman and left fielder Bill Cullen says there's no pressure from past victories.
We can't follow in what other teams have done in the past. It helps us look good and all, but we got to be our own team and we got to go out and win our own championship.
And 56 games on the regular season schedule, any talk of championships is still a long way off. For VCU InSight, I'm Dana Cook.
Kyle Sutherland.
This past weekend, the Rams played another 3-game series at home against Monmouth University and went 1-2.
VCU's next home baseball game is this Wednesday, March 9th, against Longwood University at 6 p.m.
So, Adrian, what's that baseball song that we used to sing as kids?
Take me out to the ball game.
Yeah, that's right.
And that does it for this edition of VCU InSight.
Make sure to check us out online at insight.vcu.edu.
And a quick good luck to the VCU men's basketball team as they enter the CAA tournament this weekend.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Kate Dolphin.
And I'm Adrienne Bowers. We'll see you next time.